This is our presentation on Rett syndrome. Sensory processing disorders occur when the senses and brain do not communicate appropriately, which can lead to problems with the various sensory systems. Sensory information coming in from the environment is perceived abnormally, resulting in miscommunication between the brain and the sensory systems. The person's response to the info coming in from the environment is then altered due to the miscommunication. A person can be hypersensitive or hyposensitive to sensory stimuli depending on the situation.
Sensory integration dysfunction is food sensitivity with low texture tolerance. So this could be the hypersensitivity to various foods due to tactile defensiveness, regression of motor abilities, poor diet, swallowing difficulties, which can lead to aspiration and problems with feeding and eating in general.
The description of Rett syndrome, it's a neurodevelopmental disorder caused by mutations on the X chromosome on a gene called MECP2. It's characterized by a regression of motor, cognitive, linguistic, and social abilities. Rett syndrome occurs worldwide in 1 of every 10,000 female births, but it's not a degenerative disorder, and it's mostly seen in girls. It's rarely seen in boys. It's usually indicated by a loss of communication skills and the use of hands, and typically becomes evident between 6 and 18 months.
Some of the functional problems are feeding, eating, swallowing difficulties, communication and speech skills, motor dysfunction, which usually happens in the hands, cognition, they have cardiac problems, sensation, sleep disturbances, gait disturbances, and ataxia, disorganized breathing patterns, epilepsy, purposeful hand skills are lost, and poor social emotional skills.
Some interventions that can be used for Rett syndrome to implement at home or in school. One is to increase purposeful use of hands in daily activities. So you can use adaptive equipment such as tools for feeding and eating and communicating. You can develop a communication system, which can include things like eye contact, facial expressions, and hand movements or gestures. You can create social stories or use pencil grips for handwriting. And then we also listed a few other possible interventions to be implemented.
Some of the precautions to look for, you should watch for signs of sensory overload or sensory shutdown. Watch for signs of aspiration or distress when they are feeding or eating. Watch for signs and symptoms of seizures and take the necessary actions if a seizure happens. Monitor the vital signs and watch for signs of cardiac distress.
And then finally, we just included a few links that you can go to for more information on Rett syndrome.